Okay, a little different way to start the show today. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day. This is Ask a Traffic Cop. But before we delve into the show, I want to share with you two things. The first thing is I watched Babysitter Club, at least an episode of it with my kids last night. Not my number one topic or show. I can't say that I yearn to watch more episodes of this. But I watched an episode where I guess the grandma dies, and that triggered me because, of course, I lost my mother in 2015, and just thinking about those last moments, thinking about the goodbyes and the wishing that she was still around to see my kids, and that was an emotional thing. So I got lots of hugs for my kids because I got upset. It really sent me on an unexpected emotional roller coaster. And I'd even seen the episode, but it was just, I don't know, maybe because I was eating chicken at Swiss Chalet or takeout, whatever it was, the perfect storm. I was emotional, and I bring this up because I think about that loss. Now, my mother didn't die from a tragic car collision or a traffic collision. She died because she was ill. But I think about all the people that had tragic loss at the hands of someone who made bad choices, poor choices that could have, gone totally differently had they been following the law, and what they're going through. In the moment, I wasn't thinking about them, other people's tragic losses, but post chicken, I thought about it, and I thought about it again this morning as I drove in and watched people just traveling at such high speeds. Now, I do the speed limit. I know I'm the weirdo doing the speed limit. And, the people behind me, even on side streets before I got on the highway, where people are high beaming me. I'm like, the speed limit's 60, dude. What are you doing? Everyone's in a rush. And those activities of speeding could be the difference between life and death. And I don't think people understand that. I think they don't want to understand it. They must know. Anyway, these were my thoughts this morning. Let's start the show. Yeah. It's Wednesday. And today's show is a little different than the regular show, aside from the weird starting from me. I'm talking about crying over chicken while watching Babysitter Club. I'm talking about Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010 because at 10:30 he's going to join us in the show for about 10 minutes. We're trying something different. I was going to start later, but I got something going afterwards, so I can't start later. Thus, let's do that thing where we answer your traffic and police questions for an hour, interrupted for about 10 minutes by the audience that will be phoning in, and we'll be talking about stuff and things with whatever they want to talk about live on the air in the city of Toronto, this magical city that I love so much. Wherever you are in Ontario or the world, welcome to Ask a Traffic Cop. Of course, we're broadcasting right now on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. If you're on X is a different corporation. If you're on the platform called X, you can't actually ask us questions, but you can go to trafficcop.ca, click on the link, or go to youtube.trafficcop.ca. It'll take you right to our YouTube channel where you can ask us questions, and that's the goal of the show, is to give you information that you need to be safer on the road, to follow the laws so that you don't get tickets for stuff you didn't even know is illegal. Because ignorance of the law is not a defense. You ought to have known it. And if you didn't, well, it's on you. But if I can help you by preventing you from getting a ticket because you know the right thing and you don't do the right, see, it's a loop. We are going to cover Vision Zero enforcement team. But first, I want to say hello to those that are saying hello to me. Akela Draconis with greetings and salutations. We've got Stephen Bell who says, hi, good morning. Chase says, something looks different. Yes, I've got a C-stand behind me because I'm doing there's a table. I'm doing some training video stuff, some tabletop videos, and lots going on. We've got Evandro who says, good morning, everybody. Your Brazilian fan is watching, and he has a question. We'll flag that question and get back to it in a moment. Zombie says good morning. Doug Allen says good morning, everyone. And Evandro wants to thank everybody for the support that he's giving. You're thanking me for the support that I'm giving your channel. I'm not sure. Evandro is taking content and repurposing it and putting it in Portuguese for his community, and that is awesome. Q says hello. Actually, Q says sad. Same thing. Oh, something happened in York Region. What happened in York Region yesterday? I saw a couple of collisions where came up there. I think one was involving an after-school program vehicle. I don't know if anybody was hurt. Okay, if your license is suspended, okay, that's going to be a flag for just after we'll get into these in a moment. But Jason has questions. Tim Shallow has a good morning. Big Jeff Fresh has a good morning. Good morning to you both. Matt Gingras, I don't know if I'm pronouncing you right. Gingras. And hello from Northern Ontario. Love the shows. First time I've seen your name pop up, so thank you for saying hey. Much appreciated. Let's see here. Using YouTube today. Oh, Doug Allen is on YouTube today because I'm going to have to drive and I can keep it playing in the background. Are you one of those people who subscribes to the pro version so you can do that, or do you tuck away the device? Either way, glad to have you here along with us today. Okay, Radek has a good morning. And, Q was talking about the speed. Someone struck a pedestrian. Speed and pedestrians, they don't go together. Speed in general, you increase the amount of damage, the amount of possible injury, the risk of death. Speed in general just increases your odds of becoming involved in a collision altogether. And then you talk about the fact that, what it takes away. Well, it takes away your ability to have time. It is the taker away of time. You have less reaction time. Your brain takes a while to process information, and you may think you're real quick, but it actually, I do this great thing when I do presentations in person. I do that to the military and new drivers, and actually all sorts of groups where I present. And I tend to do something with a bill. And I'll take a $5 bill because there's no $2 bill anymore, and I'm not giving a $100 bill away, but I will put a bill between someone's fingers, and I will let them keep it if they can catch it. But I got news for everybody. They can't catch it because your brain don't work that fast. You can predict, but you cannot respond in less time. Anyway, so let's see here. Doug Allen says, I subscribe so that I can download and listen in the background because I drive about 3,500 kilometers a month. Holy moly. Yeah, that's a lot of driving. But you can also get the content. A couple of quick things. It says replay podcast in the on the lower third. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts is actually going away, but we're on there. iHeartRadio. If you go and download or subscribe to Ask a Traffic Cop as a podcast, sometimes it's a couple hours, sometimes it's a whole bunch of hours, but either way, the podcast, the daily stream is available after it'll automatically download if you're a follower, and then you can listen to it while you're driving without burning your data. Now, you can also go in and, if on Spotify, watch the video version and synchronize that. What else can you do? Oh, you can go to TPS Traffic Jam, which is a totally different show, also me, in the same place, on the same equipment, but I'm talking to guests. I'm speaking with people about different stuff and things. And I want to bring up, thank you, this is actually this perfect segue. On Thursday, which is oddly enough tomorrow, thegatehouse.org. Thegatehouse.org. They are an amazing organization. I had them on the show last week. We published it over the weekend and it was talking about what they do. And they're a center to help people who have gone through childhood sexual assault. And they are an amazing organization, and they are holding a fundraiser that's going to be going on downtown. I'll be there. And you can go and get tickets there at their website. Let me just make sure I got the website correct. I said it incorrectly in the end. The Gatehouse. Thegatehouse.org. Let me make sure it's the right place. I'm pretty sure. Yes, I was right. See, I said it correctly through the entire podcast, and then at the end I said .ca, and now I forever question myself when I refer to their website. Anyway, you can check out the website. If you do want to buy tickets, you can, and come out and say hello. So yesterday, Evandro said, when is the next time you're going to be at an event where I can come? You can actually meet me there. That is a place that I will be. Although that's not why I'm going. It's about them, not me, but I will be there, and you can support them. Green Potato has a question. We'll do that in a second. And Synchron has 2 comments. Let me get the very important and much anticipated mind blank. TPS, what are they called? They're called what are they called? Vision Zero enforcement team. Okay, brain off hook. The Vision Zero enforcement team are a dedicated group of officers who go and change driver behavior one ticket at a time. I really do hope it works. I really hope that when people get a ticket, that it changes them, that it hurts, sucks, embarrasses them, makes them feel real nasty. So when they ever go over the speed limit or whatever it is that they did to encourage a police officer to say, you need a ticket, that they never do it again. That's the goal. It's not about the money. In fact, when people say you're a tax collector by going out and enforcing laws, I like to remind people that it costs more money to enforce rules than to not. Well, there's the cost of what happens when people, destroy families and property damage. And there's costs there, which is why we go and enforce it, because we want to protect people. But the actual, when people dispute a ticket, there's real costs involved. So it's not a money-making thing. It may drive money to the province, doesn't go to me, doesn't go to the city, at least not directly. And it's not the goal of why we write tickets. But I don't think we'll ever convince people who are insistent on the fact that we are there for something other than safety. Okay, let's get into questions, because we've got 15 minutes until we're joined by Jerry Agar. We'll talk for 10 minutes with them on the air in Toronto, and then we will be back to you for the remainder of the hour, maybe a few minutes extra. All right, let me close this. Okay, first question is from Evandro. If the driver receives a fine on a fixed radar, who does the fine go to? The car owner, or can he indicate who is driving that day? So Evandro is asking about automated enforcement cameras, whether it be red light camera or speed cameras. Those are automated enforcement. They are not the same as if a police officer pulls you over. The ticket is issued to the registered vehicle owner. So if mom's car is what you're driving, mom gets the ticket. And no, they cannot say, well, they can say that, no, it was Billy Joe, Bobby Sue, or whoever was driving the car. They're still responsible. It's an owner responsibility ticket. It's actually a different section of the Highway Traffic Act, specifically written to be for automated enforcement, so that they could issue tickets without knowing who the driver is. There's no demerit points, and that's one of the reasons why it doesn't matter who is driving. No demerit points are issued. It's simply a financial impact, and they're all installed in community safety zones, which means the fines are doubled, which means they're fairly pricey. Hopefully, that would prevent mom or dad or whomever owns the car from ever loaning it to the person who caused them to get a ticket. Now, you could go to that person after the fact and say, hey, when you had my car, because I know when you had my car, you got into a thing and you caused me to get a ticket for 300 bones. Well, they should pay for that. They're the ones who should be responsible, but we're not going to go after them. We're coming after the registered owner. All right. It was a good question. Let's move on. Jason CleMD says, if your license is suspended for car okay. We talked about this yesterday, oddly enough. If your license is suspended for an automobile, does this affect your motorcycle license too? You only have one license. In Ontario, we issue one license. Now, based on your qualifications, you get a designation. You get qualified to operate G-Class or M-Class, or maybe you have a GM, a GM2, whatever the case is. You are allowed to operate multiple types of vehicles with your license, only one license. You get suspended on one, you are suspended on all. It is not a separate certification. It is one with different classifications that you can operate. But yeah, you get suspended, you're suspended on everything. Synchron. I'm new to your content and a relatively new driver. I want to know what your advice is when merging in 401 traffic. I try and do 100, but people do 20 over, so I have to match that speed to get in safely. This is an issue. It is absolutely an issue. Sometimes you are in a position where to get in, you may have to exceed the speed limit. Now, that is not a permission to do it. It's just that you might find yourself to safely merge. You might have to either be at or below or slightly above the speed limit. Could you still get a ticket for that? Yeah, you could. Now, if everybody's doing it, it's unlikely that you're going to get a ticket. Just saying. Now, once you're in, you should resume doing the speed limit. There is no reason to speed. There is no special pass because everybody else is doing it. Do what you got to do to get in. I'm going to say that's a reality. You have to sort of merge at the speed of traffic. But once you're in there, you can back off that accelerator and get back down to the speed. Momentary increase probably won't get you in trouble, but it is still a problem and not legal. It's a conundrum. We'll call it a conundrum. I prefer slowing down, engaging my entry speed based on what's coming up. I don't generally have to exceed the speed limit. It's very rare that I'm in a position where I'm forced through peer pressure of the bullies who speed to accelerate over the speed limit. It just doesn't usually happen. But I can get how in a situation where you're feeling like your runway is emptying or is ending, that you're kind of there. You're going to do what you're going to do. I'm not going to pretend that people don't do that. Okay. Jide Babalola? I don't know if I pronounced that right. I probably did a really poor job of it, in fact. Question is, hi. Which takes priority? You have an advanced green light ahead for a right turn and a flashing red light for a train ahead at the same time with the bars still up. Okay. What takes priority? If the red lights are flashing at the train, it's an absolute you cannot pass. Bars are irrelevant. You cannot cross a railway crossing when the lights are flashing. Don't wait for the bars. Don't trust the bars. If the lights are flashing, you do not go. A, you can be charged. B, you can get severely dead. People do silly things with railway tracks, railway crossings. I have seen people who think that there's no train coming because it was flashing longer than anticipated, and they narrowly escape with their lives because they decide to drive through, like right in front of me, cross through the downed things. Even if they're up, down, doesn't matter. You don't cross on a light. I think that covers it. I've beaten it beyond the need to. The advanced green light means nothing if moving on. I have strong feelings about railway crossings. I have seen wild stuff. I've talked about it before. I was at a hotel in Florida when an 18 was a gasoline tanker truck hit by a train. I wonder if I can find that. Hang on a second. Tanker truck hit by train. Florida DEA convention. We're out. Let's see here. Time back way before crash. 1993. Is it really? Tampa Bay. Wasn't Tampa. Anyway, now I want to see, because it was wild. A deputy sheriff was able to get somebody out of the car in front. Florida news stories. It must be, no, that's not the right one. Anyway, moving along. It was a pretty crazy thing right in front of my hotel. I was staying at the hotel. Where hotel was it? It was a great hotel. We used to stay there all the time. All right, moving on. Don't mess with trains. The Foundation's Blender Place has a question. I need to know more about what your username is. I'm doing my G1 test today. Any tips? If you read the book and you've done the pre-tests online, you've probably prepared yourself. The joy is that it's 20 questions of street signs and 20 questions of rules of the road. And if you did your homework, you're going to do okay. Very often people skim the book and don't actually read and ingest the information and then just wing it. It shouldn't be that difficult, but I've heard many people don't do well with it. I don't understand how that works, but if you know the book, you know the book. And if you don't, you might waste $20 and have to do it again. How much is that now? How much is that is your G1 to do? Okay. Also, go to the bathroom and get good. Well, if it's happening today, I can't control your sleep. I usually say, eat, sleep, relax. It's not a big deal. Green potato. Oh, are passengers required to show ID during a traffic stop? No, generally not. There are circumstances, however, where they would be. So let's say they're not wearing their seatbelt. Well, at that point, they're required to identify. Now, they don't have to show their ID, but they have to identify themselves to a police officer and satisfy that police officer of their identity. This is where we start asking questions like, where do you live? Where did you live before that? Because we want to figure out if you are who you say you are. You don't have to provide identification, although you can, to make your life a lot easier and faster than playing 20 questions. But it is not required. Now, if I can write you a ticket without having seen your ID. I can write your ticket with seeing ID. If you've broken any rule, if we're being, if we're being investigated for a criminal offense, you've got open marijuana or alcohol in the car, reasons to ID you. But identity may not be a physical piece of a card. Whereas a driver who is operating a motor vehicle is required to surrender their driver's license. Yeah. Okay, here's a follow-up question from Synchron. Also, what is the purpose of reducing residential limits when there is not more enforcement? I see people go 50 in my 30 zone, and I've never seen police, but I've never seen them crash. So is that safe? Just because they aren't getting enforcement when you're watching doesn't mean it's not happening. I used to go and spend time. Mind you, they weren't 30 zones when I was on the road. That's somewhat new. But I used to spend a lot of time in residential areas doing speed and stop sign enforcement because that matters. It's important. The fact is that just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. Lots of those tickets are being handed out. Now, in terms of never seeing them crash, maybe you weren't looking that way when it happened, but I'm sure that those things happen. And it's tragedy. We had I think it was in New York region, where an 8-year-old was struck and killed by a delivery truck last week. These collisions are happening. People are getting hurt. Lives and communities are being negatively impacted. Families destroyed. But if you reduce the speed, if you're actually doing 30, now a child, I can't speak to that, but an adult struck at 30 has much higher chances of survival than someone struck at 60. That's the reason that the speed limits are being reduced. Stephen Bell says, I know Sergeant Carey won't, but would other OPPs would other OPPs would walk all over you guys? No, we don't. This is not we are all on the same team. We are all working towards a common goal. We're all police officers. No one's walking over anybody else. And if anything, I think most people are trying to unload. Oh, and I think that's on your side of the road. You should do that. It's friendly. We're all on the same team. Morning listener, just preparing for my midterm what's this? Oh, the Grinch is prepping for midterm to write it shortly. Well, good luck to you on that. I can't imagine that being fun, but hey, maybe it is fun. It's not for me. Holden Olivella wants to know, can you drive red plates on the road? Can you drive with red plates on the road? Red plates are what do you call them? I just had it in my head and it's gone. What are they called? They're diplomatic plates. So those are legal for the road if you are a diplomat. They're very specific as to what their purpose of them being issued is. But they are legal for the road. Illegally using them, bad. Another question from our friend Synchron. Sorry, last question from my mom. All right. If the 401 speeds are so dangerous, then why hasn't the government responded by placing speed cameras on there, or do they see it as a non-issue? I can't speak for the government. We used to have photo radar all over the place, and people got really upset being held accountable for their breaking the law. I think it's a contentious issue. I personally would like to see cameras on every street, but is it so dangerous? Is it an issue where people lose their minds and complain to the government and don't want to elect the government that puts them like it's political? I think that if they didn't care about re-election, they would all do that because it makes sense to do. You go to Europe, they're all over the place. I was in England in May, and they have both instant cameras, and I say instant, not like Polaroid instant. I mean, like you go by it, you're speeding, you get a ticket, boom. Then they have averaged cameras. So you enter a speed zone, you exit a speed zone. If your average speed during that time was over the speed limit, you got a ticket. Not only do you get a ticket, but it carries demerit points and it goes to the driver because they take a picture of your face. So not good, but it is absolutely an issue on our roads, and we see incredible collisions. And think about this. How much better, okay, this is going to blow people's minds. Speeding slows you down. Yes. Not only does it slow you down when we pull you over, but it slows you down because you're constantly adjusting your speed. If everyone did the speed limit, we would likely see less traffic and congestion. But we have people who are constantly adjusting their speed. They accelerate, they slow down, they have to brake, I set it and forget it. I literally put my cruise control on when I enter the highway, and I let the cruise control. I don't even have that automatic stuff that slows you down when the person in front of you slows down. I go the speed limit, and I never touch my brakes or my gas the entire drive to work. Amazing. I even use it in the city because I like to sit at the speed limit, assuming there's no stop and go. I don't have an autonomous vehicle. I actually have to manage my speed and control my vehicle. But I had a rental car yesterday, and I had it with the what's it called? The automatic slows you down when the person in front. But I don't get anywhere any faster or slower than the person in front of me who was speeding. I see them at the same lights. It's all baloney. Even on the highway, unless it's a wide open country road or a wide open country stretch where there's no population, speeding doesn't actually get you there much faster, if at all. But it does cause all sorts of congestion and problems. And when crashes happen, well, everyone goes slow. And when people get hurt, it's not worth it. But I can't seem to convince anybody that it's not worth it because I see them on the road. But I hope they're all having a bad day when they have to try and figure out how to deal with me going the speed limit. Just saying. I really do. I actively hope they're having a bad day. Okay. Lastman says, can Quebec trip permit come to Ontario and drive around? Are you talking about a temporary permit for the purposes of purchasing a new vehicle and then certifying it, putting it into your name? You'd have to confirm what you're talking about. If your vehicle is not licensed to circulate, which is the language used in Quebec, then no, you're not. This isn't a go and take an unsafe, unregistered vehicle for a tour of the province. The goal is that you use it temporarily to get it home or to get it registered during the temporary status. You need to confirm with me what your trip permit is, if it is in fact what I think it is. What happens if you're caught driving without a license and under the influence? Well, you get charged for not having a license and you get arrested for the over 80, the impaired driving operation. The fact that you have a license or not doesn't make you more or less criminally responsible for your actions. It is against the Criminal Code of Canada to drive under the influence, or at least to be impaired and operate a motor vehicle or conveyance. So you're going to deal with that regardless of your license, and your license status will be additional charges. So you just get a whole bunch instead of just one. There's no excuse for anyone driving while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. There's no zero, zilch, nada. In today's day and age, not that there was ever an excuse. 100 years ago, there was no excuse. Now we just have this modern technology in the palm of our hand that allows us to call or order with an app a safe ride home. It's a despicable thing to do to get behind the wheel whilst impaired and put lives at risk. Even if you manage to get it home safely most of the time, or you've never had a problem, there's always the first time to destroy a family, a community, a life. But anyway, I might have some strong feelings about impaired driving and the people who choose to do it. Lauren, 12. How long do demerit points stay on your record? That's a very good question. Demerit points are issued upon conviction, but demerit points stay on your record for 2 years from the date of offense, which is different than the conviction, which stays on your record for 3 years from the date of conviction. So two different clocks, and they do different things. People are very confused. I put a video out recently, and people were very confused. Demerit points are not used by your insurance company. Convictions are. Demerit points are used by the Ministry of Transportation to determine when you need a letter to say, hey, you suck at driving, and you should do better, or we're taking your license away. Now, if you are a learner, if you are a person who is, taking this, what is it called? Graduated licensing. Yeah, that might trigger something sooner. In fact, if you get a ticket with more, or conviction for a ticket that has more than 4 demerit points, you're getting a suspension right away. Hello, News Talk 1010. I don't know if you're.
Hello, Sean. How's it going?
It's going well. I see the text message too. We're just doing our thing until you let us know when we're going on with Jerry.
Sounds good. Should be in about 3 minutes here. Or sorry, two and a bit.
2 and a bit. Looking forward to it. Okay, we'll be in the background, and then we'll hear Jerry, and we'll keep on going. Just a reminder, we're going to be that's News Talk 1010. It's a Toronto radio station. We'll be live on the air with Jerry Agar, the host of the Jerry Agar Show, and then that's about 10 minutes long. We'll take some callers' questions. I know he sent me some stuff that they want to talk about. Once that is done, we'll be back to you right until 11 o'clock, which actually reminds me, I want to pull up a screen because they sent me an email. I should probably look at it. All right, let's keep moving while we're waiting. Zombie says, I imagine this was in relation to the train. Yes, when you get killed by a train, you are severely dead. Bad things happen. Trains move a lot faster and are heavier than people care to think about. I've gone as a photographer for collision scenes. I've gone to investigate the ones involving trains. Very often they're suicide related and that they're tragic nonetheless. But these trains are not traveling at 40K. They're big and they're heavy and they're going really, really fast, especially the GO trains. Okay, Radek says, if I'm upgrading to a new car and new license plates, can I keep my vanity plates from my old car for the future? You don't have to return your plates right away. You can keep it. They're registered to you. You're responsible for what happens with them. My massage therapist has his plates in his room, like in his massage room. And he's waiting for him, I guess, the purchase of the next vehicle. So, yeah, you don't have to. But make sure you keep a good handle as to where they are because you wouldn't want someone using a 407 with them. Hari wants to know, who's at fault if the driver's making a left turn immediately and he sees the yellow light without checking and causes a collision on oncoming traffic? Let me reread that again. Who is at fault if the driver who is making a left turn turns immediately when he sees the yellow light without checking and causes a collision with the oncoming traffic? So two things are true. One, a yellow light means stop unless it's unsafe to do so. So if the person decides to race through a yellow light, they may have some responsibility, and the person making the left may also have some responsibility because they must ensure.
Listen anytime, anywhere to News Talk 1010 Toronto through your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Jerry Agar continues on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
A good service that is provided by Toronto Police is Traffic Safety Programs Officer Sean Shapiro from Traffic Operations, who goes on TikTok every day at Traffic Services, that's the handle, at Traffic Services, and answers people's traffic questions. And when we found out about it, we decided every couple of weeks, let's just dip in and participate. Sean Shapiro, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you along. This is interesting. I'm going to hit you with this right off the top because somebody sent this in, and it's not really a traffic question, but it is a cop question. Do cops get paid overtime to attend a coworker's funeral?
Generally, no. We might be allowed to go on duty, but we'd be on call to go out. Usually we're taking that and going on our own time.
Okay. And police officers will travel actually from one location to another. You might even have a cop from BC come here for a Toronto cop's funeral, but they're doing that on their own time as well, aren't they?
Yeah. And there's different things like our association will help pay our gas because, to go. That's our association fees coming back to us to assist us with doing the honorable thing and recognizing the sacrifice that officer's made.
All right. John Moore this morning, I was telling him that you were going to be here, and he had a question, and I think this is to some degree a parking related thing, but here's his question.
How many officers are there? How much do they enforce? Because I don't want to give away where I do this, but I park for like 15 minutes while I'm going to do the groceries, and I never get caught.
He's playing roulette. He's playing. You know what? I don't work in parking. I've never worked in that unit, but there's a lot of parking enforcement officers, and they have an area they're responsible for. There may even be areas where multiple officers are working. So it may have been luck of the draw that his timing is such that they're at the other end of the street at the time, or it could be an area that's just not frequented, and they're dealing with more congested areas. But they're definitely out there. There's lots of them, and they're issuing a lot of tickets.
Yeah. Well,
all right, we want to turn to.
What happened
there? Oh, my
there?
goodness.
I have no idea.
I know what happened. No, I do know I'll tell you what happened. I clicked on an article that has to do with what I wanted to talk to you about next here. And I think what happened is the website of the article threw up an ad or something.
I'm just glad it was you, not me, because I'm usually the one responsible for that.
No, it was me. A massive cleanup got underway on Highway 400 after a truck hauling celery overturned, spilling the stalks across the busy roadway. This is CTV News Barrie. According to provincial police, the truck rolled over on Highway 9 in Aurora. This would seem to be a single vehicle accident. There's celery everywhere, a useless vegetable anyway, but regardless, what's the possible penalty for something like that?
So the penalty for the celery being everywhere? I mean,
for rolling your truck and causing all that traffic trouble.
Well, it depends on what caused the collision. Obviously, they're responsible for whatever they did, and there's going to be costs involved for cleanup and reopening the road. I've never investigated one quite like that, but I imagine that that's all going to come out of well, there's parts that the police are going to be involved with closing the road, and that may be something the city goes after the driver for, but I don't know what caused the collision.
If you want to talk to Sean Shapiro and you have a question, 416-872-1010, 416-872-1010, toll free, 877-518-5151, and you can text us at 71010. Somebody writes, can you get a ticket for a late amber?
Sorry, a late amber. So if you're going through an amber light, an amber means stop unless it's unsafe to do so. So if you're rushing to get through and it's turned yellow, or it was a stale yellow as you approached, that's a ticket. You're going to get charged. It's similar to that of running a red light. It's not legal. You should be stopping, and you should be stopping in such a way that, or at least traveling in such a way that you can safely stop. Obviously, if it turns yellow and you're approaching the line, you're past the point of no return, you're expected to go through that. But yellow doesn't mean speed up and go faster to make the light.
Well, oftentimes what you see is, I mean, I've had situations where just as I'm approaching and the yellow pops up and I think, well, it's too late to slam on my brakes here. I'm going to go through. And then I look back and 2-3 cars coming behind me keep coming.
And that's the thing. There seems to be a clear misunderstanding or disregard for the law. That is truly unsafe to do. And many drivers are in such a rush that they put safety as a second, to just getting somewhere they have to go.
Dan writes in with a question on text. Can traffic police hide on private property in order to catch offenders?
I think there's some confusion as to what is private property and what is not. But yeah, we can be in all sorts of places. Generally speaking, if it's truly private property, we'd probably talk to the property owner to see if it's an issue. But there's an area of the road that is or the what people think is private property. It's actually city property. So if they're on certain areas, the first, I think, 15 meters from the roadway to the fence line, that's going to be actually city property.
We used to live, when I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, Sean, we lived literally across the street from the school the kids went to. And people would be dropping their kids off and they'd be in a hurry and they'd be speeding. And a police officer knocked on our door early one morning and said, hey, we're running a blitz here to get people who are speeding down this residential street and people who are endangering kids going to school. Can we sit on your porch? This was in the South, so we had a porch. Can we sit on your porch looking like people having a cup of coffee and run our radar? And we said yes.
Well, they're there to make your community safer. It's to your benefit to allow them. I think that's really great. I love that idea. I'm going to maybe send that to the chief. We'll all have tea on your porch. And
yeah, they brought their own coffee. Here is John on the 401. What's your question for Sean?
Yes, I know as a driver, I'm supposed to give bicycles 3 feet clearance whenever I'm driving down the road. Are they supposed to give me 3 feet clearance in the car when they sneak up my inside and I can't see them on my blind spot?
They're doing something that's unsafe, but unfortunately, they're not in a position to get charged for not giving the 1 meter rule. That is for when you are passing them. But that said, you don't have to give them any room. If you were close to the curb and they couldn't pass you, they'd have to wait in traffic like everybody else. This concept of riding through stopped traffic isn't a safe way to go, but it is a common practice.
Here is Aaron from Burlington. Aaron?
Hi there. I had a question. I have a friend who recently was driving with an expired license unknowingly. She was pulled over and the police officer took away her license. So I'm curious, is that what's supposed to happen? And how does she go about renewing her license without her license number?
Okay, so this is not a license plate that's expired. It's their driver's license. So they seized it because it was either suspended or expired, and they would just simply go into the ministry and reapply for that. They would either renew it at Service Ontario, and they'd be issued a temporary at that point. Luckily, the number aside, their name, date of birth, and all their information, your license number is yours for life.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you very much for the call. Here's Matt on the 427.
Morning. My question being, if I'm in a 2-lane road and at that intersection, a city bus is pulled over to pick up people or to do a driver change, am I allowed to go into the left lane and cut in front of the bus to make my right-hand turn? Or do I have to wait for the bus to go back into motion?
So they're blocking if they're servicing a stop, you should really wait. You can't make a wide right to which would be an improper turn. But if you can safely get into the bus lane in front of them before making your turn, that would be perfectly legitimate. If the bus is out of service, however, it changes things slightly. If the bus driver is not there, then you might be in a position where you could safely make the right turn. I've got a wishy-washy answer on that because it really depends. If you're just being impatient and don't want to wait for the bus to finish dropping off its passengers, that's one you should be waiting for.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. And here is Parkesh on the 404.
Yes. I just wanted to check, now that the license plate renewal is free of charge, and one can renew for 2 years or 1 year, whatever the case might be, does somebody let you know like they used to before, where they send you a notification saying your license plate is up for renewal, got to renew it, or is the onus on you to renew it? And so do you get a fine if you haven't renewed it?
Well, you're right on there. The onus is on you, and you do get a fine if you don't renew it. However, the system with the ministry will automatically, if you sign up for it, call you, text you, or email you to not only remind you about your expiring license plate, but your driver's license and your health card. I've got links to that page if you go to trafficcop.ca, but you can also find it by Googling the Ministry of Transportation, and you can sign up for that.
Trafficcop.ca. Thanks for the call. Sean, thanks for the time. You're going to continue on TikTok for a while?
I will, and YouTube and all the other platforms too.
Until
11 o'clock or thereabouts.
All right. Thanks for this. This is the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Okay, we've said goodbye to Jerry. I'll change my graphics back to the not Jerry graphics. And I always love when we jump on with Jerry. There's something very cool about being on the radio, not because it's woohoo, I'm on the radio. There's something romantic about the radio. I grew up listening to the radio. TV was obviously, I'm not that old that TV was not available, but the radio was cool, and I had friends that were radio DJs, and I'd call in because I had this special number, and I used to get on 680, wasn't a news channel, 680 was a music channel when I was a kid. I used to get the top 100 or the top 50 like mailed to my house weekly. It was one of those things, you signed up and you got it. Just radio is cool, and it's not something that people listen to anymore, at least not in the same way as they used to. Like, the numbers are different. It's a different demographic. Everyone gets podcasts, and I still find it cool to listen to the radio. I know I'm weird, but and I love the fact that Jerry and friends talk to us on a regular basis, because the audience that is on the radio or listening to the radio is one that isn't on TikTok, more than likely not on TikTok. Anyway, it's nice to share the knowledge with a different group. All right, let's get back into questions from y'all. I have a whole bunch of flagged stuff here. Let me see, what's this? I cannot even try and pronounce this, so I'm not going to. I'm going to flag it. What is the question, though? Just so I can give you an idea of what we're coming at. Is there a law that says that a speed gun is not calibrated, ticket to be canceled? Okay, we'll talk about that. Is it against the law to listen to EMS or OPP scanner at home? Okay, we'll talk about that. That's from Stephen Bell. This is now a question from Evandra about modified exhaust. Oh, wow. I can put this up while I'm flagging other things. So Chase had someone cut him off in the drive-thru. How dare they? And he also likes the idea of massage therapy. Maybe he should join the Toronto Police Service. We do have great benefits. And if you are interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, I will suggest that you apply right now. For real. We're hiring. We're hiring for all sorts of positions. And if you'd like more information on, the possibility of a future with our magical company, our organization, is it more accurate to say, www.tps.ca/careers. Now, don't apply to the job because you want massage therapy covered. You'd preferably not have the injury that requires you to have massage therapy, but it is one of those things. We have great benefits, and many organizations do, which is one of those magical organizations. Now, we're hiring police constables, special constables, parking enforcement officers, communications operators, and information on all of those are here. Now, you go to Police Constable, and there's a big old button that says Apply Now, and we would love for you to apply now if you meet the qualifications. All those qualifications are listed on the webpage. And I love to dip into the civilian roles section because these are the roles that people don't generally associate with policing. They don't say, you know what, I want to be a programmer for the Toronto Police. People don't think about the fact there's only one position currently listed, and it's communications operator. This changes all the time, and it's a good thing to highlight. This changes all the time. So if you're interested in getting a job with us, check this like daily, because you want to be the first one in. You don't want it to expire. This particular job was posted on it says here not even available. Really? Okay, there's no job postings in the civilian world. Not at the moment. But that's the thing. It must have closed today or last night. All right, back to business. Let's get back into the chat. I can take that off the screen too. What do we have here? Okay, we already covered the drive plates on the road. We talked about this. Talked about that. A very good question. How to decide to call police after collision or report a collision center. How do you determine whether or not police have to attend or you can just go? So the deal is this. If the collision involves injury, that someone is transported to hospital by ambulance, that's one we're coming to. If criminality is involved, where someone doesn't have a license or identification or insurance information, if there's a question as to whether or not something was going on that's not quite right, that might be a reason for us to come. If there's alcohol involved, obviously that's criminal. We're going to come and investigate it on scene. If there's a pedestrian or cyclist involved, or property like a building, we're going to come. If it's anything else, or almost anything else, it's going to be reportable at a collision reporting center as an option. You can always call into our dispatch and get direction so that they can tell you whether or not you have to come. Now, whether or not a collision is reportable at all is generally going to be a $2,000 combined damage threshold amongst all vehicles involved. So if a vehicle, if you get a scratch or paint, and that's the only damage as a result of the contact, and there's a wholehearted belief that it's not over $2,000, then you don't have to report it to police. You guys can work it out amongst yourselves. But here's the problem. A scratch on the Mercedes-Benz is probably $5,000. So it's very easy to be over that $2,000 threshold, making it legally required to report at a collision reporting center or to police. And that's a problem, because some people think, it's just a scratch, and then find out later it's not just a scratch. And then they have to figure out what to do next. And then some people will make a deal. How about I give you $100? Okay. Or they say, or somebody offers to pay for it. Well, they offer to pay for it, and then when it gets to the shop and it's $5,000, and they don't want to pay for it anymore. Reporting it to police is a good way to go. And the collision reporting center is a really easy way to do it. Also, if you're a pedestrian or cyclist and you're involved in a collision and you leave the scene because you don't want to wait for police, you can always make the report at a collision reporting center as well. Now, we also have a special reporting center just for cyclists and pedestrians. It's in the building that I'm currently sitting in, 9 Hannah Avenue in the city of Toronto, in Liberty Village. It's easier to get to by transit, so it is here to help you out. What is the penalty for not moving over for emergency vehicles? I believe it's $4.95 and 6 demerit points. You know what, though? I have the ability to look that up and confirm it. And it's one of those things that I find myself looking it up every single time, because I don't remember it. I don't remember the exact price. So this is emergency vehicles, the fuzzy search, and fail to move into other lane. $4.90, fail to, yeah. Oh, there we go. $4.95 and 3 points. I thought it was 6. And JD had it on screen before I even had a chance. He's back. He's not sick anymore. Welcome back, JD. Okay. Well, there's your answer. I think it should be 6 points. Okay. 2-part question from Josh. Part 1. Hi, sir. You may recall I told you that I was charged early this year for fail to keep right when I was in the left lane going 105 and some cars were behind wanting to go 120 or faster. I went to court and I was getting, oh, God, this is great news. I was able to get it dismissed, but the prosecutor told me that the exact words that the left lane is for drivers who want to go, what? What? I gotta read this again because that's crazy. So he says, you may recall I told you I was charged earlier this year for failing to keep right when I was in the left lane going 105 and some cars were behind me wanting to go 120 or faster. I went to court and I was able to get it dismissed, but the prosecutor told me these exact words. The left lane is for drivers who want to go above the posted limit. Really? They would say that? That's amazing. I will remind you that prosecutors are generally not lawyers. They are civilians working in the courts as prosecutors, and I don't think that was a legal position. I think that was maybe a comment shared with you, but just saying. Wild. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Josh. I appreciate it. I love closing the loop and hearing that. And I'm also congratulations on getting off that charge, which I don't think should have ever been late. Matt. Did we talk about this earlier? So Matt says, I've noticed lately a trend of trucks and cars with underglow lights in the wheels, under the vehicle, and in the grill. Is there a law against that, or does it depend on the color of the lights? Yes and yes, and no. So yes, if the underglow lights are in the wheels or the wheel wells and projecting lights outwards, and it's a problem, regardless of the color, but color is an impact. So if you're projecting anything other than white or yellow to the front, color dependent, it's an issue. You can only project white or yellow. You specifically cannot project green or red. Red has got its own, but the other ones have different purposes, and it's very, very specific. So if you're projecting any other color, it's a problem. Most of these lights are not directed or aimed in such a way that you can really control that. When people put underglow lights on and the bulbs are visible, they're projecting it everywhere. That's a problem. You cannot project anything other than amber or red to the rear, and if you're doing that, that's a problem. To the sides, like there's no underglow law. Now, grill lights, again, direction of color is a problem. You can't put purple. So, yes, there's laws that say you can't project in certain directions. Some people put them in the wheel wells. Some people put rock lights, like off-road lights, in there, and they're blinding and disruptive, and they shouldn't be there. So, yeah, there are definitely charges that can be laid depending on how it's installed and what direction and what color. So, yes, that was a horribly answered question for my standards, but the question was good. Can I ride a horse throughout downtown Toronto? There are laws about it, but we do it as the police. I don't think we have any special ability to ride horses that makes it more or less. There's probably a condition of what you can do and how you can do it, but I do believe you can. I don't know why you'd want to, though. Is it illegal to have an aftermarket exhaust on your motorcycle in Toronto? It is illegal to make too much noise. If your aftermarket exhaust meets or exceeds the requirements under law, then it would be lawful to have an aftermarket. If you put on a straight pipe or an aftermarket pipe that is not legal, well, then it's not legal. Now, in the city of Toronto, we have bylaws in excess of the unnecessary noise bylaws of the Highway Traffic Act. In fact, if you are idling at over 92 decibels, you are eligible for a $500 ticket, and that is specific to Toronto. So yeah, if it's aftermarket and noisy, you don't want to ride it here. Adaptive cruise control. Thank you for fixing my my language issues because I forgot what the word was for that. Kayla always here to save the day. I'm looking for something. I need to confirm what time I'm needed. I may have just screwed up the feed to Instagram, but I need to see what the next appointment is. Okay, I got some time. I had to open up another app, Instagram. Sorry to you if it paused your video. Yeah, I have something at 11:30, so I have the ability to catch up and catch questions that you may have asked and have yet to be answered. I am not abandoning you right at 11. We'll go a little longer. But no new questions after 11 o'clock. That's the big thing. Stephen Bell, is it against the law to listen to EMS or OPP scanner at home? No. If it's unencrypted, non-trunking, if you can hear it, it's legal as long as you're not hacking to the algorithm to get through the encryption. Yeah, some agencies don't encrypt and don't have an issue with it. I used to listen to a scanner all the time. If you make modifications on a car, can you have special authorization? What kind of I'm not aware of any special authorization. The rules are you either have a compliant vehicle. I don't know why I took that off the screen. You either have a compliant vehicle or you don't. So if you make modifications and they're legal modifications, you are legal. And if you are breaking the law by modifying your vehicle, it is no longer illegal and is likely unsafe or at least eligible for a bunch of tickets. Okay. Okay, here's the next question. Do you get a ticket if you go through an amber light if you have no time to stop while driving? That's a funny question. Is it that you believe that you didn't have time to stop? Did you really not have the time to stop? Were you traveling at the speed limit? If you were speeding and you had no time to stop, well, I might get you for 2 tickets. If you were traveling at the speed limit, appropriate for the speed of the road and the condition of the road, because people say, well, what if it's slippery? Well, you shouldn't be going fast. You're always responsible unless it was unsafe, and not because it was unsafe because you chose to drive illegally. So yeah, you can get a ticket. Obviously, you have to get caught. A lot of people don't get caught, and then they think it's okay. First dad joke, unintentionally. The driver of the truck spill was definitely not celery braiding. Okay, it was a groaner, but I appreciated it. Let's see here. If an emergency police vehicle wants to go right, do I still pull to the right or do I go through the red? You do not go through the red. So if you are at a red light waiting, and whether you're the first vehicle or the last vehicle in a chain of vehicles, emergency vehicles can go into oncoming traffic if they need to. And we have the ability to look ahead and see what's going on in advance. So if we did not plan ahead, we are stuck, and so be it. The only thing you can do is make a legal right turn, assuming it's safe and legal to do so. Make the right turn on the red after coming to a stop and getting out of their way. Great, but there's no expectation for you to do that. That's a great thing, and I appreciate the intention to support and help us get to where we have to go. But you can't run a red light. Michael is taking a quote from Sheriff Buford T. Justice. What we are dealing with is a total lack of respect for the law. I say that a lot, or at least some variation there. Yeah. We need to remember that the law is kind of important and get back to the basics. And what I'd love to see is a whole lot more enforcement to remind people that the law is there and the law is watching. It's not Big Brother. We shouldn't need to have this much enforcement, but when we have people who are just completely disregarding all the rules, the basic ones, maybe we need to remind people, and that's the thing. A stop sign where drivers blow through. Can anything be done if plates are videoed or recorded? So yes and no. If you have video of the driver of the vehicle, you can identify both. You have time, date, and location, and you're willing to testify to the fact that you're the person who recorded it, and then yeah, you may very well be able to get a charge laid because we can act on that information. You'd have to go to court for it. What your best bet is if you're in the city of Toronto, go to tps.ca and report the intersection as a traffic concern, neighborhood traffic concern, and we can get police officers out there. It really isn't a good business practice for you to go and become the investigator on the road. And I appreciate I used to live on a corner where a T intersection where there was a stop sign, and I watched people pass other people who were stopping for the stop sign, and people would pass to run the stop sign. If I had a harpoon gun and it was lawful for me to use it, I would have used it. I mean, to pull the car back and give them a ticket. It drove me bananas. I had small children. It was unsafe. I obviously moved from that area. I don't want to live anywhere near a stop sign now because it would frustrate me. Not because it's unsafe, it's because it frustrates me. But anyway, wow. I heard 6:80 a.m. changed from music. Why did they change? Money, probably. The world has been changing for a long time. A lot of stations change their programming. Pugsy Pug says, I have to go now. Bye, Sean. Bye, guys. With pleasure. We'll see you next time. Absolutely. I very rarely look at that chat window, but I caught it. So I'm glad I did. No way. Chase has won 2 tickets to see Queen at the Scotiabank. No way. Like, when did you? This Sunday? Wow. Congratulations. I'm glad to see somebody's winning something. I bought tickets to the lottery. I've yet to win. Big Jeff Resch loves his morning radio shows. Awesome. Can a cop legally speed 20 over whenever they want without lights? Yes. And no. It's not that we want to. It's because we're engaged in the lawful execution of our duties. We are either going to a call, even though our lights are off, or we're conducting enforcement. We are driving around looking for violators. If you're driving at 20 over, obviously I have to be able to maintain your speed and look in to see if you're using your cell phone, wearing your seatbelt, or what have you. If I was not able to exceed the speed limit to conduct my duties as a police officer, it would be pretty pathetic. So they give us that lawful authority to do what we have to do our jobs. Nobody else has that authority, and I think we should be stopping people who are, doing 20 over all the time. Is your license suspension on your record permanently? It certainly is for the record. We see all your suspensions and everything. And what's the restrictions with the G2 license? First of all, blood alcohol content of 0, BAC 0. You can't have any drugs or alcohol. You can't be impaired, obviously. In the first year, you have a 6-month condition that says you can't have anyone under the age of 20. No, you're limited between the midnight and 5 a.m. to have no more than one person under the age of 20 in your vehicle. In the second 6-month period of being G2 licensed, you can have no more than 3 persons under the age of 20 between the midnight and 5 a.m. And ultimately, that's it. There's no other real conditions other than 0 BAC. What is this? Chase wants to know, since it's a city program, can police see if you've received any photo radar tickets when running your plate? If they're deciding to give you a warning, but maybe you have a few speed camp tickets. I don't think we see that. I don't know that for sure. I've never seen that, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. JD, do you know if that happens? I don't know if that happens. It's a good question, though. Truth is, I'm not giving anybody warnings anymore. Like, I'm not on the road, but if I were, I wouldn't be giving warnings. Joey from Toronto, what is going on? Can someone with an accessible permit park at no stopping or no standing zones? No. No parking zones, yes. At no stopping or no standing zones, they cannot park. They would be eligible for a ticket. And the bad word of the day is snow. Thank you, Chase, for breaking the seal. And now the snow will likely fall only because it's your fault. He says, I hate to use bad language on the show, but now is a good time for people to check their snow tires and book appointments before it gets crazy. You know what? I don't disagree. I was talking to my tire guy last week. Shout out to Brian. And we were talking about whether or not it's a good time to come now. And I think it's too early to put them on. He agreed. You want to wait until it's about -7 before you are putting on winter tires. Because when it's above, did I say, is it -7 or is it 7? No, not -7. 7. When it averages 7 degrees, not -7, my bad. That's when you want to start looking at putting your winters on. It's a good idea to check their status, though, to see if they're at the. Thank you, Michael, for jumping in. I corrected it before I got your message. 7 degrees +7, not -7. But the deal is that you want to make sure that they are in good shape. If you have to order one, you may find that they are difficult to get if you don't order them in advance. Like at a certain point, people go bananas and everything's unavailable, and then you find yourself in the middle of winter running on your all seasons, and that's a problem. But you know what? Tire health, checking your tires on a regular basis is just good business for you. Really, really, really a good idea to be on top of these things. Checking doing circle checks and checking your tire, your tread depth, things that you should do all the time. Yeah. Prosecutors are usually civilians, ? Yes. Prosecutors are generally civilians, not lawyers. That doesn't mean that they can't be lawyers. Maybe they decide to become lawyers, but they are not required to be lawyers. Is it illegal to have an aftermarket exhaust on your motorcycle? We covered that. Can Americans drive in Canada even? Yes. Americans can not only drive here on rental vehicles or borrowed vehicles, they can bring their vehicles with them if they drive here. We can drive there. It's amazing. Yeah. It happens all the time. In fact, I can't remember what the convention is or what the law is that allows all the licenses to be supported, but we can drive pretty much anywhere, and so can they. Okay, hang on a second. So last night we went to look for Ahsoka and we couldn't find it. So I was disappointed and I did not watch it, which is how I got onto the Babysitter Club with my kids. We looked for Ahsoka on Disney and it wasn't there. So did we miss it, or did my child tell me a fib so we could watch Babysitter Club? Because I never verified. I just asked her to start it, and she said it wasn't there. So if it was there, then that's what I'm doing tonight. And Loki season 2, I'm looking forward to. That's going to be awesome. I'm a big fan. Okay. Akela had to take off, so he can't answer that question right now. He has a meeting. Cool. But he says, stay safe. And remember, don't have a good day, have a great day. Well, that's always good advice. And Michael responds with, Akela, don't have a good meeting, have a great meeting. That's good. Okay. Question from Jas. Jas Mavi says, I've lost my pink slip, but I have in my phone. Is it okay? Technically, no, unless it's an app that is authorized by your insurance provider and is secure and provides you the ability to, it has to be secure. It can't just be a photograph of your pink slip. Call your insurance company. They'll send you new ones. It is certainly better than having nothing on your phone, but it doesn't meet the legal requirement. Ridwan Khan wants to know, will I get a red light camera ticket if more than half my car has passed the stop line? If you pass the stop line after it is red, it is possible that they will issue a ticket because that's when you have broken the law. You've stopped at the wrong place. Now, I've seen most of the tickets that I've seen are pictures where they've crossed the line. They tell you the timestamp when you cross the line, and then they have a secondary picture in the intersection. But you've committed the offense when you've crossed the line. Yeah. 9 minutes might be a record. Wait, did I have anything else here? No, I covered that. Covered that. Cool. I got it. We're up to date. We are up to date. The Gatehouse. I talked about it earlier. I want to talk about it again. And let's see here. Healing. There we go. Let me put it on screen. thegatehouse.org. So, this is the event that I'm going to tomorrow. Is it going to work? Here we go. This is the event that it's cut off on the top. I want to read the title, and I can't. All Gala, I don't know what that says. One-of-a-kind art exhibit that gives space and healing to survivors of childhood sexual abuse. Thursday, October 5th, 2023, 7 to 10 p.m. Liberty Grand, Centennial Room, Toronto. Tickets are $85. Live painters, entertainment, silent and live auctions, and more. A night you won't want to miss. My picture's not even up there. But I will be there tomorrow, and if you'd like to come out and support, we'd love to see you. www.thegatehouse.org. That's where I'll be. So if you would like to support this magical charity that does so much good work in the community, please visit their website and follow and subscribe and do all that stuff because they've got content that they create. And R4 is it, I don't know what this is. Is that raccoon? This is a hello, bro. Follow me. I follow you now. Follow me. I don't do this follow stuff, but I think it's great for people who are trying to grow. We are here, but we're not doing the follow for follow thing. Is that a big thing? Do people do that a lot? Anyway, here is that song that I play at the end of this show. And I'm just looking here. Thin white line interceptor. What's going on? I'll answer when it comes back.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
I was called out. I forgot dad jokes. Emma wants to know where the dad jokes are. Well, I've got one for today. on my calendar. And I suppose I could dip into the dad joke generator, which was actually pretty good. Dad joke gen. Dad joke. It's the CNN dad joke. Really? Let's try this and let's try that. If you've got any dad jokes, now's the time to share them, because that's what we do at the end of the show. We do dad jokes. I've got one from there. Okay, let's go. I just bought a new camera, but I think I'm going to return it. It's too unpredictable. It's a loose Canon. Now, I'm a Canon shooter, so I have to give it, props. I'm a loose Canon. All right, we'll put this one on screen. Dad jokes. I hope it's clean because I just put it on screen. All right. How come a man driving a train got struck by lightning? He was a good conductor. It's not bad. Do we try the other? Oops, that's not what I want to press. Let's go with the CNN dad joke generator. Maybe it's better. I'm thinking of reasons to go to Switzerland. The flag is a big plus. That's not a bad joke. It's not a good joke. Can I press it again? How do I? Here, push. What did the grape say when it was stepped on? Nothing. It just let out a little wine. Okay, hang on. Let's see. Okay, it just did the same joke. Press it one more time. See, maybe they don't have two jokes. That would be pretty lame. Why can't you play poker on the African savannah? There's too many cheetahs. I like that. Let's go back to the other one. And if you have anybody else in the chat, I don't see any jokes showing up. Maybe because people said he's leaving. Dad jokes. Try one last one. And I haven't forgot about Ryan. All right, another. How do you cook toilet paper? Oh God, this is gonna be bad. It's easy. You just brown it and then you throw it in the pot. That's terrible. Did you hear about the two antennae that got married? The ceremony was terrible, but the reception was amazing. That's all right. All right, Thin White Line Interceptor has a serious question now that we've done the dad joke thing. And that is the question, hang on. That is the question of why do some traffic lights change from yellow to red significantly faster than others? And to that I say I have no idea. I have no idea because it's the programming of the individual setup. There's different types, or I think they're updating computers, the systems that are employed. I think they've been updating them constantly to ones that can be remotely controlled. And I don't know how that works. But when I speak to someone who knows, I will ask that question. And I think that Kayla knows the answer to that question, but he's gone and he'll be back tomorrow, hopefully, maybe. And we'll be back tomorrow. Join us tomorrow, 10 a.m. till 11 a.m. when we do this all over again. Have a wonderful day. Drive safe, drive sober, and park legally. And I'm not going to play that song again because we've already played it. So I'm just going to ramble on as I press the buttons that I need to do to end the show. Take care, everybody.